The night of March 8, 2014. It was a calm and serene evening, with the stars twinkling in the sky and the city lights shimmering below. The world seemed at peace, unaware of the impending tragedy that would soon unfold. A Boeing 777 Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 prepared for a routine flight. The aircraft, a marvel of modern engineering, stood ready on the tarmac, its engines humming with anticipation. The crew, experienced and confident, went through their final checks, ensuring everything was in order for the journey ahead. The plane, carrying 239 souls, took off from Kuala Lumpur. Its destination, Beijing, China. Among the passengers were families, business travelers, and adventurers, all with their own stories and dreams. As the plane ascended into the night sky, the city of Kuala Lumpur faded into the distance, and the passengers settled in for the flight. Hours later, the unthinkable MH370 vanished from radar screens. No distress call. The blip that represented the plane simply disappeared, leaving air traffic controllers in a state of confusion and alarm. They tried to make contact, but there was no response. The cockpit, once filled with the sounds of routine communication, was now eerily silent. No mayday, just silence. The world watched, stunned. Newsrooms around the globe scrambled to cover the breaking story, and people everywhere were glued to their screens, hoping for any sign of the missing plane. The night sky, which had seemed so peaceful just hours before, now felt ominous and foreboding. How could a modern airliner simply disappear? In an age of advanced technology and constant connectivity, the idea that a massive aircraft could vanish without a trace was almost inconceivable. Experts and analysts began to speculate, offering theories and explanations, but none could provide the definitive answer everyone was desperate for. Families of the passengers clung to hope, but as days turned into weeks, the mystery deepened. Airports became gathering places for the anxious and grieving, where loved ones waited for news that never came. Candlelight vigils were held and prayers were offered, but the calendar pages continued to turn, and the answers remained elusive. MH370 became synonymous with the unknown, a chilling reminder of the power of the skies. The plane's disappearance was not just a tragedy, it was a stark reminder of how little we truly understand about the vast expanse of our world. The skies, once seen as a realm of freedom and adventure, now held a darker, more mysterious allure. The disappearance of MH370 sent shockwaves through the aviation world. Experts convened to discuss the possible causes, and news anchors provided constant updates, but the lack of concrete information only fueled the speculation. The aviation community, known for its precision and reliability, was now faced with one of its greatest mysteries. It challenged our assumptions about technology, safety, and the vastness of our oceans. The incident forced a re-evaluation of the systems and protocols that had long been taken for granted. It highlighted the limitations of even the most advanced technology and underscored the sheer vastness and unpredictability of the world's oceans. The search was on, a desperate race against time and the unforgiving elements. Search and rescue teams from multiple countries mobilized, scouring the ocean for any sign of the missing plane. The search grid expanded, and the efforts intensified, but the vastness of the search area made the task daunting. But finding MH370 would prove to be more difficult, and the answers more elusive than anyone could have imagined. The ocean, with its depths and mysteries, held its secrets tightly. Despite the advanced equipment and the tireless efforts of the search teams, the fate of MH370 remained one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time. The initial hours of MH370's disappearance were marked by confusion. Air traffic controllers were baffled as the plane vanished from their screens without any distress signal or communication from the cockpit. The sudden loss of contact triggered an immediate response from emergency teams at the airport, who scrambled to understand what had happened. The plane had departed as scheduled, its transponder sending out regular signals. Everything seemed routine as the aircraft ascended into the sky, with the pilots following the planned flight path. The passengers settled in for the journey, unaware of the events that would soon unfold. Then, about an hour into the flight, something changed. The plane, which had been cruising smoothly, suddenly veered off course. It was as if it had vanished into thin air, leaving air traffic controllers staring at blank radar screens, trying to make sense of the situation. MH370 deviated from its planned route, turning west across the Malay Peninsula. This unexpected maneuver was not part of the flight plan, and it took the aircraft far from its intended path. The deviation was so abrupt and unanticipated that it raised immediate concerns among aviation experts. This unexpected turn raised immediate red flags. Air traffic controllers and aviation authorities quickly convened emergency meetings to discuss the anomaly. The unusual flight path suggested that something was seriously wrong, but without communication from the cockpit, they were left in the dark. Why would the plane veer so dramatically off course? Experts were perplexed, debating various scenarios that could explain the sudden change in direction. Was it a technical malfunction, pilot error, or something more sinister? The lack of information only fueled speculation and concern. Air traffic controllers received no communication from the cockpit explaining the change. Repeated attempts to contact the pilots went unanswered, adding to the growing sense of unease. The silence from the cockpit was deafening, leaving everyone to wonder what was happening on board. The mystery deepened, as radar data revealed that MH370 had not only changed direction, but had also begun flying at unusual altitudes. The plane's erratic movements were baffling, with sudden climbs and descents that defied normal flight patterns. These anomalies suggested that something was seriously amiss. These anomalies pointed to a deliberate act, but by whom and for what purpose remained unknown. Theories began to circulate, with some suggesting that a hijacker might have taken control of the plane. Others speculated about a possible emergency that forced the pilots to take drastic measures. Theories began to emerge, each attempting to explain the inexplicable. Some experts believed it could be a mechanical failure, while others considered the possibility of a deliberate act by someone on board. The lack of concrete evidence made it difficult to pinpoint the exact cause. Was it a mechanical failure, a sudden emergency that overwhelmed the crew? The possibility of a catastrophic malfunction was considered, but without any distress signals or communication from the pilots, it remained just one of many theories. Or was something more sinister at play, a hijacking or even a deliberate act by someone on board? The idea of a hijacking gained traction, with some suggesting that a rogue passenger, or even one of the pilots, could have taken control of the aircraft. The true cause of MH370's disappearance remained a mystery, leaving the world to wonder and speculate. One of the initial theories considered was a catastrophic mechanical failure. Could a sudden decompression, an electrical fire, or a structural issue have crippled the aircraft, leaving the crew helpless? Such events, while rare, have happened before in aviation history. Proponents of this theory pointed to the lack of a distress call. If a major mechanical failure had occurred, the crew might have been incapacitated, unable to send out a mayday signal. The plane's erratic flight path could also be explained by a loss of control due to a technical malfunction. However, several factors argued against this theory. Modern aircraft, especially the Boeing 777, are designed with multiple redundancies. A single point of failure leading to a complete loss of control is highly unlikely. Moreover, the deliberate nature of the course change, including specific altitude adjustments, suggested a conscious effort by someone at the controls. The possibility of a hijacking loomed large in the early days of the investigation. The disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 was unprecedented, and the world watched with bated breath as experts scrambled to piece together the mystery. The initial days were filled with speculation and fear, as the lack of concrete information left room for numerous theories to emerge. The world had witnessed the horrors of 9/11, and the idea of a commercial airliner being used as a weapon was a chilling prospect. The memories of that tragic day were still fresh in the minds of many, and the possibility that MH370 could have met a similar fate was a terrifying thought. The aviation industry had made significant strides in security since then, but the fear of another catastrophic event lingered. Could MH370 have been commandeered by terrorists, its fate unknown? The lack of distress signals or communication from the cockpit only deepened the mystery. If terrorists were involved, what could their motives have been? Was it a political statement, a demand for ransom, or something more sinister? The absence of any claims of responsibility left investigators grasping at straws. Adding to the suspicion was the fact that 2 passengers on board were traveling with stolen passports. This discovery initially set off alarm bells, as it suggested the possibility of foul play. The use of stolen passports is a common tactic among terrorists and criminals, and this revelation added a new layer of complexity to the investigation. While this initially raised alarms about a potential terrorist link, investigators later determined that the individuals were likely seeking asylum and not connected to any terrorist organization. This finding provided some relief, but it did little to dispel the cloud of uncertainty surrounding the flight's disappearance. The search for answers continued, with every lead being meticulously examined. Despite the lack of a credible terrorist claim and the absence of communication from any potential hijackers, the possibility remained on the table. The silence from the cockpit and the lack of any distress signals were puzzling. If it wasn't terrorism, then what could have caused the plane to vanish so suddenly and completely? Theories ranged from mechanical failure to pilot error, but none seemed to fit perfectly. Could MH370 have been hijacked for other motives, such as piracy or even ransom, with the perpetrators remaining silent for unknown reasons? Piracy, though more commonly associated with maritime vessels, was not entirely out of the question. The idea that the plane could have been taken for ransom, with the hijackers choosing to remain silent, was another theory that investigators had to consider. The lack of any demands or communication from the supposed hijackers made this scenario seem less likely, but it couldn't be ruled out entirely. The lack of concrete evidence made it difficult to either confirm or rule out this theory definitively. The search for MH370 became one of the most extensive and challenging in aviation history. Investigators combed through satellite data, radar information, and debris found in the ocean, but the answers remained elusive. The mystery of MH370 continues to captivate and baffle experts and the public alike, as the world waits for closure on one of the most perplexing aviation mysteries of our time.